Everyone wants to be in power. Joburg residents bemoan prolonged GNU talks. As talks around President Cyril Ramaphosa's cabinet of the Government of National Unity continues, some South Africans are beginning to get restless at the prolonged negotiations, mainly between the ANC and the DA. IOL sent a team of reporters to the streets of Midrand to gauge how South Africans were feeling as the country awaits for Ramaphosa to announce his cabinet. Ramaphosa was officially inaugurated as president last Thursday during a ceremony at the Union Buildings. Announcing this cabinet has taken a bit of snag after the DA made some tough demands during negotiations, demanding at least 11 ministries at the role of deputy president or ministerial positions in the presidency. The ANC has managed to lobby 10 political parties into the GNU. These parties are the DA, IFP, PA, FF+, UDM, PSC, Al-Jama, Rise Mzansi, Good, and the NFP. Speaking to IOL just outside the Sandridge Square in Midrand, Michelle Motown, who was with her husband about to shop for groceries, exuded an air of frustration. Everyone wants to be in cabinet now. Prior to elections, people were comfortable with being in positions. Suddenly, people are seeing an opportunity to be in cabinet, and their true colors are being revealed, which is now serving us. We are seeing a side of what we didn't see about certain political parties, she said. Her husband, Alfred Motown, expressed frustration about the DA's negotiation tactics with the ANC in the GNU discussions. I think it's a misunderstanding. This thing is a GNU. It's not a coalition between the DA and the ANC. The DA were the first people to sign the statement of intent. Now they think this government is made up of them and the ANC only. There are positions that they think they are entitled to, forgetting that IFP must also be rewarded. PM must also be rewarded. It's the first time that at the national level this kind of a thing happens. They have always had to allocate their positions among themselves, and it's not easy for the president and the entire ANC. That's why it's taking so long. They are also external influences, and everywhere you go, people have an opinion on whom must be appointed, he said. Yvonne Dladla, who was looking for domestic work outside the Sandridge Square, said it did not matter how long it took to announce the cabinet because life had not changed for black people in any case. She said jobs, the economy, were still in white hands. We have no land. The white people are still the owners of the land. Nothing has changed. Whites in charge are in majority in terms of land and ownership, she said. Why no Indians in the KZN cabinet? In Durban, prominent Indian figures and several lobby groups have described the lack of Indian representation in the KwaZulu-Natal government, which was recently announced by IFP Premier Tamin Tuli. Leading the charge was prominent politician, CUM entertainer Logie Naidu, the Yearsville deputy mayor of eThekwini. The lack of Indian and colored people representation is truly disappointing. It is a cause for concern that Indians are left out of the provincial cabinet when they account for the second biggest population group after blacks in KwaZulu-Natal, said Naidu. The racial representation in the KwaZulu-Natal provincial legislature paints a grim picture. Of the 80 members of the legislature, only 5 were Indians, 2 from the IFP and 3 from the DA. The 14 MPLs from the ANC and the 37 of the Jacob Zuma-led Umkhonto Wesizwe Party MKP were all black. The 2 EFF members and 1 from the NFP were also black. Naidu took a swap at his party, the ANC, accusing it of deviating from its non-racialism. It is wrong that the ANC has no Indian people in the legislature when the party is known for its non-racialism stance, said Naidu. Naidu lamented the fact that all the ANC members of the provincial legislature's MPLs were black. The ANC had to accommodate all the minority groups as a party that prides itself on being non-racial and accommodative to all the races, said Naidu. He said the parties represented in the provincial legislature should reflect and self-correct amid the evident racial imbalances. This flies against the social cohesion that most of the parties in the provincial legislature advocate for. This is a time for parties to reflect and self-correct, said Naidu. Asghar Khan, the leader of the Al-Jama-ah party in KwaZulu-Natal, echoed his sentiments. The fact is that Indians are still used as voting folders by many parties, including the DA. The lack of Indian representation in the provincial government is an indictment of the political parties that received votes in predominantly Indian settlements such as the Phoenix and Chatsworth. Khan said it was amiss that Indians, who were the second biggest population group in KZN after black people are more than 1.2 million, were not part of the provincial cabinet. Parties always go to Indians to vote, but when it is time for them to place them in strategic positions, they don't. It is an indictment on all the parties that are in the parliament. Ntuli announced his provincial cabinet under the banner of the Government of Provincial Unity GPU, and there was not a single Indian present. This drew immediate backlash from the pro-Indian lobby groups and figures in KwaZulu-Natal. Dr. Faisal Suleiman, the chairperson of the South African Muslim Network, also weighed in, saying it would have been good to have a balanced representation of the minority groups. However, he urged all the political parties to work together and move beyond what he called identity politics. We must now rebuild our communities and restore the Rainbow Nation and Ubuntu, said Dr. Suleiman. As the province nursed itself back to health from the devastating 2022 floods and the 2021 July unrest, Suleiman said all hands should be on deck to rebuild the province. We need to improve our province by working together. We need to get our economy back on track so that jobs will be created for the people who are unemployed, said Suleiman. During their campaigns ahead of May 29th elections, all the parties in the provincial elections maintained that they were non-racial and inclusive of all the races in South Africa. ANC spokesperson Mafika Mdebele said the ANC had always been a non-sexist and non-racial organization. It is the ANC that has been fighting against issues that seek to divide our society. We have been at the forefront of initiatives that bridge the gap between different races, said Mdebele. Rand weakens as SA awaits Ramaphosa's cabinet announcement. The Rand weakens late on Wednesday as the country waits in anticipation of President Cyril Ramaphosa's cabinet announcements. The Rand was trading at around 18.22 Rand against the dollar at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, which was more than 0.1% weaker than its previous close. The ZAR further weakens against global currencies and was trading at 18.27 Rand on Thursday at 8:45 a.m. against the dollar. When compared to other global currencies, the Rand was also weak and was trading at around 19.56 Rand against the Euro and 23.13 Rand to the pound. Cabinet appointment. Like most South Africans, the financial markets are waiting for Ramaphosa to provide the makeup of the new cabinet after 10 political parties signed up to form a government of national unity, GNU. Ramaphosa is expected to announce the cabinet appointment late on Thursday evening, but the announcement may even extend to Friday if the African National Congress ANC and the political parties do not come to accepted compromise. There has been a public fallout between the ANC and the DA, their biggest government of national unity partners, over the number of ministries, deputy ministers, and the status of senior government officials that will be allocated to the party. The DA is demanding at least 11 ministries and the deputy presidency or a ministerial position in the presidency among their demands. They also want Ramaphosa to allow DA ministers to elect their own directors general. Markets. Zain Voda, market analyst of OANDA, told Reuters that appointments DA could strengthen the rand against global currencies, while familiar ANC names might have the opposite effect. Voda said that investors will keep a vigilant eye on key portfolios like finance, trade, industry, and competition. A slump in the third quarter. The rand is in the hands of the SA political leaders at the moment, according to the Bank of America, BOFA. The bank said that it is bearish on the rand and predicts that the rand will likely weaken further or take a slump in the third quarter. The BOFA said that the rand will slip into 18.40 rand to the dollar between July and September. The bank said that the rand could gain strength against the dollar in the fourth quarter as U.S. interest cuts move closer, according to News 24. We are bearish for now, given rising political risks related to negotiations between the DA and the ANC and the global backdrop, BOFA analysts Tonga Rusike and Mikhail Liluashvili said. And that's it from Injibs Network. Stay tuned to our celebrity and gossip news.